Actually, it's starting to look like something now. Have a number of masonry panels they got up last week. They have used different colors of mortar. They weren't looking for any decision last week. Maybe later this week, the Brayton just wanted to be sure they gave time for everything to dry, obviously. So that's in place. Let's see. We're still waiting on the schedule, according to Chris Sharkey, for the phenolic panel and the glazing. We know the glass is going to come pretty late. Phenolic may be coming sooner, so it's just kind of wait and see. But if you're curious to see what the mock-up looks like, go over and check it out. Also, Hill told us last week, the review period for the project funding agreement based on the actual schedule of values is coming to a close. They got an answer back from our project managers at the MSBA on the one question they had, and it was actually the answer they were expecting. So Hill tells us the numbers look okay, and we will be accepting that, and it'll be coming in writing for the town manager and I believe the superintendent and the school committee chair to sign off on. So those are pretty much the numbers that Andy reviewed with us at the last meeting. Let's see what else. Chris Sharkey told us the Warner Larson package we've talked about for some months now. The site civil package went out for pricing. The only two things it does not include are any revisions to the rear play area. That's still in the district's court for some ongoing discussion and potential modifications. And then also the final location and scope for the project signage on either side of the site. That's not in there yet, but that is coming along. So we should hear something on that package, I think, at our next meeting. And I think my other note was regarding Lynch. So the team's going to be back out to visit with teachers and staff in September for the FF&E package, just bringing more furniture and equipment for them to get their hands on. And several of us have noticed we have some wall damage at the high school in some assembly areas where the furniture is movable, like the library media center on the second floor. So we have asked TAP A to just go back and take a look. And so this would not be classrooms, but other kind of more informal spaces where we have a lot of movable furniture. Are there spaces where we need to think about adding some wall protection? So they're going to look at that. That might be included once the FF&E package is kind of tightened up. I think that's all I had, Jay, on Lynch. I know I had some notes on the high school concrete project, but I think maybe that comes up in a few minutes.
Right. The only other thing to add to Lynch is that they do have these samples for the interior finishes in the trailer. And I put a memo out just reminding anyone that wants to go by and take a look. They are there, and they'd like to wrap it up this week. They were there all last week, and so if you want to participate and see what the interior finishes, try to stop by this week and take a look. They are inside the trailer. So that's it on that. Then I think we're good on Lynch. Any questions from anyone on Lynch? Again, it's really not a Lynch night, but just some updates. Okay. Well, we're going to go into another Lynch thing. Sorry. We have Ken. Is Ken Pruitt in the audience anywhere? I don't see him.
Yep, I've promoted him, Jay.
Okay. There he is. All right, Ken.
He's there. You got him?
Yes, I see him.
Okay. All right. I can elevate if you want.
Please.
I'm here. Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for adding this to the agenda. Should I just jump right in, Jay, or do you want to?
Sure. We sent the information out last week with the agenda, everything you provided, and the little email summary. And we did discuss it a couple weeks ago too, expecting that this would be coming. Okay. So jump right in, Ken. Fill us in.
Great. Well, thank you. I'll do the short version, and then we can do Q&A if needed. So I'm Ken Pruitt, the Town Sustainability Director, as I think most of you know. And the EFPBC in the town applied to Eversource through its Mass Save new construction incentive for the Lynch building. We promised to build it to a very high efficiency standard, an EUI of 25. And in return, Eversource, through its Path 1 incentive program, will provide a large incentive to the town for meeting that. And to $1.50 per square foot upon construction. And then another $1.50 per square foot 1 year after occupancy, if the building is still operating at that low EUI. So we're looking at over $300,000 of incentive payment to the town, half upon construction, half a year later. So obviously the stakes are high. A year after construction, well, both at construction and then a year later, because we're talking about, 150K plus. One thing that Eversource recommends, and in fact financially incentivizes, is that you do a verification study during the year of occupancy after construction. And that involves hiring a consultant to evaluate the building systems, the control sequences for the building controls, and energy bills and metered energy usage. With the idea being that you want to essentially verify that you're already operating at the required EUI before you get to that 1 year all important check. So that when you get there, it's just, it's a layup and the town gets its incentive payment. So Andelman Lalick did submit a proposal to do this project. It's essentially a $25,000 proposal. It's a significant amount of work. Eversource incentivizes that as well. They will pay for $10,000 of the cost. That payment does come in 1 year after construction upon verification that you've met the target. That actually, you don't even need to meet the target. You just have to provide the deliverables showing that you did the verification project. So that 25 would be chopped down to 15. So net to the town, I think it's a good investment. You're essentially spending $15,000 to make sure you're going to get $150,000 in post-verification incentive payments. And so I'm here to request that this be approved for payment out of the town project.
Pauline? Question?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak in support of this. We're working on a couple other projects in the state of Massachusetts as consultants that are part of this incentive program. And it's one, as Ken is saying, it helps to sort of nail down the incentive a year post occupancy. But essentially, since Andelman Lalick did the base model, it's really like a calibrated simulation of what the projections are. And it helps to iron out if there's, sort of like an extra layer of commissioning to a certain extent. So if something's completely out of whack in terms of assumptions for lighting power densities or plug loads or things like that, I think it could be really, I think it could prove helpful to reduce the EUI just even for our own operating savings and conditions. So just wanted to voice my support for it.
Thank you, Colleen. Anyone else? Okay, so can we put it up? Geetha, here you go. Go ahead, Geetha. You're on mute.
I just have a quick question. How does this have to be coordinated? Because being an MSBA, don't they assign a commissioning agent too? And just curious, in other words, whether they would have some requirements or something in terms of bringing in who and whatnot to do that post metering aspect of it. And then
I could briefly just say that this, under this verification incentive, you form what Eversource calls a verification team that then works on the verification throughout the year. And your commissioning agent is a part of that. But it's not instead of your commissioning agent, it's sort of in coordination with them. Colleen has more experience with this than I do. So if you if that's not correct exactly, feel free to jump in and.
Yeah, and the commissioning agent has a lot to do with balancing and testing of the system, but they don't work in the energy modeling realm. So that really is like kind of a separate level of expertise. But I agree, it's an and, it's not in place of, so there isn't any overlap in scope.
Would you see this as an operating cost or a construction cost? Just curious. To the town, I guess, anyway.
Yeah, it's a good question. As Colleen was saying earlier, I think it will drive down operating costs over, even going forward, which is really a further incentive to the town. But I would really characterize it as a construction related cost. It's just ensuring that the building was constructed to the energy model. And the payment then comes back, even though it's a year later, it's really related to the construction.
Richard?
Yeah.
Oh, Geetha, sorry, are you all set?
I guess so. I guess I was just wondering whether there's a benefit of seeing the other change orders related to the construction and put this in the queue and then weighing it up high and bringing it in, just because we haven't got to the end of the change orders related to the construction, to the benefit to the town. That's all.
Right.
In other words, if it's the operation cost, we can seek for other buckets, but we are stuck with the construction, may put a headache for us.
Right. I mean, where it has a payback, I mean, it's kind of, you really can't put it in as a change order.
I know, I mean,
As a
like,
change
there
order
could be
because,
change orders coming related. Isn't it going into that bucket to get this request?
I would, Meg, how do we handle this? It's a professional fee, right?
Yeah, it's a professional services engineering, but I'll let Andy decide what bucket he wants to put it in the charge. It's very clearly professional services. But he knows best how to categorize it according to the MSBA reimbursement process, but
Okay.
more specifically to your question, and everyone on the town side, which, includes the EFPBC, this is clearly a project cost. So, let's not forget, this entire project is paid for by the taxpayers. So any reduction in cost, is a project cost. So, I think that's more an answer to your question that you have.
Okay.
Yeah, the town in its operating expenses does not have this $25,000. So,
Okay.
yeah.
We did
Alright.
the same thing at the high school, Geetha. We went through the same exercise and it was back and forth thinking, but it was.
Yeah. I mean, no question about it. It's just a kind of, I asked.
Pay a little to
but-
get, we got to pay a little to get a bigger sum.
Yeah. Whether to wait later or commit now, that was sort of the question I had. Okay.
Richard?
Jay,
Thanks, Jay.
sorry, Jay,
Yeah, go ahead, Brendan.
sorry, I don't have the ability to raise my hands
Oh.
from dialing in. Just had a quick question. So when that money comes back to the town, I'm assuming it goes back to the project. Am I correct? And not to kind of the general fund?
No, it would go back to the general fund. It could go back to the project if it was required, but most likely, we'll have sufficient funding to not, go through that process. But typically, any reimbursements go back to the general fund. If we got to the end of the project and we needed this $25,000, we could have it reallocated back to the project, but,
That's my only thought, just in case, because we do have a cost, again, 25,000 from the project. The project is paying for, and again, curious to see where the 150 ends up at the end.
Yeah, I mean, right now the plan is it would go back to the general fund, but, don't forget, we have a very large contingency on this project,
Sure.
so. Yeah, I feel very comfortable and so does, I believe, so does the Hill team.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just figured I'd ask the question. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Richard, sorry, we jumped over you, but you have a question?
Yeah, and that was my question, was where does the rebate money, what bucket does that go in
Right.
Yeah.
when it comes back to the town?
So in this one, in this case, it was a little bit easier. In the high school, we had the same thing, but we had to spend money to get the rebate where we're right at the cusp of doing energy savings and not where the energy savings was costing us more to get to these rebate amounts. In this school right now, we're doing everything that they require basically. So it's kind of like a no-brainer to go this step and get the extra money. So, okay. Any other questions for Ken while we still have him? No. So Ken, we put this on the manager's letter, so we'll just take care of the, the voting at the end when we do the manager's letter. So I think you're all set.
Okay, thank you, Jay, and thank you,
Right.
everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, back to the high school concrete. Chris Nixon?
Yeah, sure. Let me find my notes real quick. So I think there's a memo, Jay, that you shared with everybody. It was really a memo to update the school committee about what's going on at the high school. We copied that to the select board and everybody on this committee just because it made sense to do it. But the highlights are, I know we talked about the last meeting, Spillane got out there and they got both surface applied corrosion inhibitors installed. That was on the 24th of June. It took them 2 or 3 days to get it done. So we did get an update from Jenny from SGH last week. They're planning on doing the coring that on July 29th. It may run into July 30th, depending on how it goes. The lab analysis for these samples is going to run from July 31st to August 14th. One of the products, I think it's the Sika product, actually has to go back to the manufacturer. So it has a longer distance to go, and it's a lab kind of outside SGH's control. The other product, I think the MCI product, is something SGH is going to be testing themselves or somewhere here in Metro Boston. So I think we're going to be getting at least verbally results back on one product before the other, but she's still very much hopeful that we should have maybe some verbal indication as early as August 14th, and then a report no later than August 19th on the results. And then depending upon what those results are and what that report says, I mean, I think we'll have a lot to talk about this project and how to move forward. The late breaking news I will share with everybody is, I wear different hats, and that includes one for capital planning. So last week at capital planning, the message was very clear from the other committee members as well as management that there's real interest in this project and possibly funding it, just given the seriousness of what's going on. So the school committee met last week, discussed it, and has actually prioritized this as a capital project, even though we don't yet know for sure what the results of the SCI testing is. But if it's favorable, then we do have some pretty decent rough numbers that Jenny has shared with Meg. So the corrosion inhibitor plus the top side of the chloride repair work where the salts have deteriorated the concrete is somewhere between $1 and $1.2 million. So that's kind of our rough number. But really, we're just kind of in a holding pattern right now until we get the results back from SGH in August. That's it.
Okay, reports, we can hit those three. Then we're going to go on to first of all, any questions for Chris? Keep on. No. Okay. Winchester High School again, gymnasium. Meg, can you give us an update on the bid walkthrough and the schedule?
Sure. Yeah, so we had the pre-bid on Thursday morning, and we had quite a few contractors show up, which was very good. So, and they spent, I would say, a good 45 minutes in the gym looking around and asking questions. Chris Blesson will put out an addenda tomorrow answering all those questions and anything else that has come in. The filed sub-bid opening is Wednesday at 10 a.m. and then the general opening is July 31st. So hopefully as many contractors that were there will submit a bid and we'll have good numbers on the 31st. So next time we meet, we'll have hopefully an award to make.
Awesome.
Do they have to go to the crawl space too? Just curious when they did the walkthrough. Just curious. Anyway, and then did anyone work prior in the high school project? Just curious.
I don't, nobody said that they had worked on the
Mhm.
pre. I didn't
Mhm.
recognize any of the names as having been on the larger project, but, so I would say no, because honestly, we didn't do it, we didn't do an athletic floor before, so most of these were athletic flooring companies,
Okay,
yeah. So, and, you know, specialized in the, the basketball equipment, et cetera, so.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, there was a couple of electricians there, that's the files open category. And they were showing the electrical room and everything. So,
Any surprising questions, Meg?
schedule.
That they didn't like the schedule?
Yeah, they don't like schedule. They're worried about materials not being available, mostly the bleachers. So we'll have to discuss that tomorrow. A big issue that was not really addressed in the drawings to so far is the access. You know, how they're gonna access the space, so Chris and is looking into that in more detail and has gotten a little bit of input so far and hopefully more tomorrow. So, but those were really the two big issues, I'd say.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions for Meg on this? Don't see any.
I just got a quick one, Jay. Meg, beyond the
Sorry, go ahead. Yep. Did you lose it, Chris?
Yeah.
sorry, you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm in a dead zone. Meg, was it shared with any of the contractors that we would like to have the actual flooring done like by Thanksgiving? And did they have any thoughts about schedule for the wood flooring itself?
I did not have discussions with anyone about that. We tried not to answer any questions there. We just took questions, but I was not asked that question specifically, so no.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Nothing, we'll move on to payments. Meg, do you want to share that or go through your list?
Yeah, I don't, do you want me to share it?
You have it handy. You can read it off too if I sent it out already, so.
Yeah. I could probably find it in a second here. Here we go. There. Okay. So the first is Great Builders at that's their application number 7, $3,258,158.46. Tape Architects monthly invoice at $142,345.72. Lero, who I still call Hill, their monthly invoice at $83,293.35. Triumph's monthly rental, $29,850. Harbor Networks monthly invoice at $431.60, and then Earth Cam's monthly invoice $565 even. And that's it for the payments.
Okay, and then we have the spending, right?
Then we have the one spending at $25,005.
That we discussed.
Yep, that was Ken's proposal.
Does anyone want to make a motion on the whole letter?
Yeah, I move we authorize the town manager to make the payments as outlined in the town manager's memo of July 22, and to also approve the spending authorization for Alden Men Leak as proposed.
Second.
I'll second that.
We'll do a roll call vote on this. Frank,
Aye.
Lisa,
Yes.
Brendan,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Geetha,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Richard,
Yes,
and Emily's on vacation. Great. So that's all set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next meeting dates, we have August 12th and either the 19th or the 26th. Depending what works the best. We have a full committee, so we can really get around almost anything, but any comments from anyone versus Meg, how about your schedule?
I think I'd prefer the 20. It
Yeah,
doesn't
with
matter.
Memorial Day, it probably makes, I mean, with Labor Day, sorry, it probably makes sense to push it out to the 26th and then because then we're gonna be off the,
We're not gonna meet again until the 9th. Yeah.
right.
But honestly, either date will work with me. I don't know what people's vacation schedules are.
You know, Jay, remember where SGH is trying hard to get us their report by the 19th. So if we did it on the 26th, at least it would give us about to review the report and any recommendations so we could be prepared if we wanted to make a decision on something on the 26th.
That makes sense. And then with Labor Day, we don't meet again until the 9th, so if we can push for the 26th, that'd be great.
That works better for me.
Okay. All right. Anything else we're going to get going?
Just noticed Braid Builders, everything looking, most of it looking 100%, Jay, I guess, percent completed on the invoice came in. Looks interesting. I guess, yeah.
On the first pages where the site
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah,
Not throughout the whole
oh, not right,
hundreds of pages, yeah.
right.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of site work is 100%, the first phase, the
Yeah,
under
yeah,
facilities, et cetera. They got a lot of site work to do, so.
yeah.
At least we're out of the ground,
Mhm.
looks good. Okay,
Jay, I do think Chris Sharkey's goal, I think he told us he was going to try to have final signage location.
yeah, we lost you, Chris.
Do you hear me now?
In and
You're
out,
break-
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Jay,
that's
you're
all right.
still working with the neighbors' request with the town, right, Jay? Yeah, for the site work.
Megan's
Yeah.
talked to them and we have on the drawings that went out, they have what their request for the fence, everything's
Okay,
addressed
okay.
in that site package.
Okay,
So,
okay.
And that has already been issued for, I guess they call it a change order request, Meg? I don't know the,
Yeah. Yep.
how they list everything, but
Yeah.
I did look at the drawing, it looks good. Okay.
Happy to make a motion to adjourn at 6:30.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Chris.
happy to second that.
Thank you, Richard. All right, Frank,
Aye.
Lisa,
Yes.
Brendan,
Aye.
okay, Todd,
Aye.
Geetha,
Aye.
John,
Yes.
Colleen,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and Don.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everyone. Talk to you on the 12th.
Yeah, on the 12th.
All right.
Great.
Good night.
Thanks. Bye.